This is another video about power chords. So this is the sheet that I wrote all of these notations on from the first video. And there's the neck diagram. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so I watched a video on power chords and I saw how the E5 is made like this with the A string, the 5th string, held on the 2nd fret. That gives us the E note on top and then the B note on the 5th string. So the instructor that I was watching then also gave the A5 chord by moving the index finger down one string and then we're using the 5th and 4th strings instead of the 6th and 5th. And so we have the open A and then the 2nd fret on the D string makes it an E. So the A5 is the A note and the E note here. Okay, so when I watched that, I guess that was an introduction to power chords because he has another one that goes into it more, and I didn't realize. But what I did is, seeing that one power chord is on the top 2 strings, and then another power chord is on the 4th and 5th strings, then I just naturally understood it to be anywhere you can get those 2 notes together, or whatever the 2 notes for the power chord you're looking for. And so that's why I wrote out the things that I did, and I moved on down to the 7th fret, and then there's the 10th fret on some of them. The G, the G5 can be on the 10th fret with the E string and the A string. Okay. I think that's right. Yeah, that gives us the D on the sixth string, and then the G on the fifth. Now, also on the C5, I went to the 10th fret, and that is for the, well, it has the A and D, so that's not what I'm looking for. Okay, but what I want to show you is this, that looking at the next video on the power chords, the instructor that I was watching, he made it look like that he was doing a bar chord, something like this. Okay, but he wasn't actually pressing down all of the strings with his index finger like that. That's not what he was doing. So he wasn't actually doing a bar chord, but he was holding the top string to get the movement forward up the neck. In other words, let me switch the video around and show you on the fretboard diagram. Okay, so for the E chord, the E5, we have the top string open, the sixth string, and then holding the second fret on the A string. So that gives us the E note and the B note. And then, like I said already, for the A5, you have the open A here and then the second fret there, which gives us the A and the E note here. Okay. Now, what I didn't realize when I was making the other video is that you can do the power chords all the way up the neck on the first three string, or string 4, 5, and 6. You know, we count from the bottom. The high E string we call 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So you'll have some guitar teachers will say be talking about, say, the top two strings, the low E and the A, and they'll say bottom because it's on the bottom of the notation, the music sheet, because it flips around, with this being 1 and it comes down. Well, unless you're using notation, music sheets, and you're just looking at the guitar, then unless you're using music sheets, you don't really need to even call the bottom one top and the top one bottom. That doesn't make much sense. But anyway, okay, so here's the way we do it, and this is pretty simple. It's pretty easy. So going back to the E5, we have the open E string for the E note, and then the B note in the second fret of the A string. Okay, so that's E. Now, if we're just going to, and we can do it with both of them, the A5 and the E5, and we'll just go across the top two strings and do the same thing. So we start out with the E5. So the next one would be F. And there's the F. If we hold the low E string on the first fret, we get the F. Now, the F5, the notes for F5 is F and C. Okay? So, whereas over here you have the nut at the end of the guitar neck holding the string. So you have the open E and the B notes. So you're going beyond the nut now, so you got to hold the first fret to get your F. And then you still go 2 frets over to get your C. So your F5, F power chord, is going to be the first fret on the E string, and then the 3rd fret on the A string. And that gives you the F and the C. Okay, now we can do the same thing with the A5 and the B5. So here we have, again, the open A gives us the A, and then the 2nd fret on the D there gives us the E. So we want to go to the next one, the B5, and so we go here and we have to hold the 2nd fret of the A string to get the B, and then for the B5 chord, we need B and F. So your F is right there. So you would hold the 2nd fret on the A string, the 3rd fret on the D string, and that gives you your B5. Okay, now back up to the top, we had the E and then we did the F. Now you can keep going. There's the G, and for the G5 you need G and D. So it's basically the same thing you did with the F over here. You're holding the top string. This time it's at the 3rd fret, so you get the G note. And then you still go 2 frets over to the line, the string under it, to get your D. See? F and C, G and D. All right? So then we do it again. After G would be A, and there we go. There's the A. In the 5th fret, you would hold the top string to make the A, and then you need A and E for your A5 chord. So you hold the low E string there on the 5th, and then move 2 over again to go 1 string under. On the A string, you hold the 7th fret, and there you have the A and the E. Your A power chord, your A5. Then you have B. And on the B, you need B and F. So here, you only go 1 fret over. So you hold the low E, the 6th string, at the 7th fret, and the 5th string, the A, you hold at the 8th fret. And that gets you the B and the F. Then you have C, and your C power chord, your C5, you need the notes C and G. So see, you're doing almost every time that you move, you're doing the same thing. Almost every time. I mean, here with the B and the F, you only went 1 fret over for your second note, the 5. But the other places you're going 2 frets over. So here again, there's the D on the 10th fret of the 6th string. And then your D5, you need D and A. So there's the D, and you go 2 frets over to the 12th, 1 string down, and you have your A, D and A. Then you've gone all the way through from the E down at the end to the D at the 10 and 12 frets. And you can just start over again. You got E at the 12th fret on top, and you can come 2 frets over on the A string, and you get B, just like down here. Okay, so you can move from E all the way. You could really do F probably also, but you can definitely go from E all the way to E again on the top 2 strings. Now on the 4th and 5th string, we did the A5 and we did the B5. So next we go to C. There's C and G, just like over here, C and G. Okay, so you would hold the 3rd fret on the A string and the 5th fret on the D string. Okay, then you move over to D, D and A. Okay, then E, E and B, and then F and C. And then G and D. And then A and E. Now, when you get down to the D and G, the configuration's a little bit different. And the B down here. Now, you can do more power chords. I mean, you can get 2 notes lined up together down here too. But as you go down, you have this sort of interruption in the sequence in the way that the strings are tuned. But anyway, so there, all right. So here again, we have the top string open is the E, and then 2nd fret on the A string is the B. So we can do any power note going up the neck. All right, so that was E. And then if we're going to do F, see, then we have the F here, and then C right there. And then G, and D. A and E. B, and B on the 7th fret here is the one where the next one is only 1 fret over. So you have the B here, and then the next fret on the A string gives you F. Okay, so that's all of the power chords going up the neck on the top 3 strings.